So one thing that is holding many people down is the type of habits that we've developed. Meaning, if you want to rise, if you want to grow, if you want to develop ourselves, we need to be able to get a point where we develop new and better habits. So what are these habits? That's what I want to deal with today. So the first habit that I want to focus on today is something that many people are actually doing, which is called negative self-talk.
Okay.
Negative self-talk. Because we live in an environment that's already negative. Everything is negative. And I want you to notice one thing. What is usually called news
Is negative.
is negative.
Yeah.
So a bus moves from point A to B. Everyone arrives safely. That's not news.
It's not a headline.
It's not a headline.
Yeah.
So power is there from 8 to 8. That's not news. But power when it goes, that's news. When a plane flies from Marara, Victoria Falls, and it lands safely, no one reports about that.
Yes.
It's not news. When Weekend receives a present, a very expensive perfume, which is something good, no one reports about that.
Yes.
Because our system is wired in the negative. That's why we're programmed to shock. And anything that's usually shocking is something that's negative. And last time, sadly, in South Africa, I don't know why these guys did what they did, but we lost some guy who was very, very prominent.
Or AKA.
Very, very, very good at his art. Very huge person. That became news. Trending and so forth. Because we are systematically negative. So what does it mean? It means at an individual level, Weekend, you need to be very careful about the internal conversations that you have with yourself. What are you talking to yourself about? What is the content of the conversation that you're having? So conversations that are usually at 2-3 levels. First level, these are the internal conversations, what you tell yourself consistently.
Soliloquizing.
Those things are very, very important. And I want you to look at one story in the Bible. That lady was bleeding for the longest time. She was processing in her mind a thought that if we can touch the hem of the garment of this gentleman, I'm going to be okay. So she processes that thought and she builds convictions. And once she builds the conviction, guess what she does? She does execute because of convictions. But there was a guy who was sitting at a pool at Bethesda. And this guy is asked, do you want to be well? And he says, I have no one to push me. Conversations. So what do you repeatedly tell yourself, Fikene? So what you want to do is to constantly audit your internal conversations, because the internal conversations, this is what in turn builds the habits. This is what in turn builds the convictions. This is why we need to be very careful about the things that we allow to be real and unreal in our life. The moment you allow certain things to go into your life and you endorse those certain things in your life, guess what? You are building new realities. This is a story that I usually tell people. Weekend is about a bank. It's trying to train tellers on how to detect fake notes. You know what they do? From morning till evening, they were giving these ladies and gentlemen brand new notes, just helping them to feel the original notes. And they did this for about a week or so. And somebody says, how are you really training them to detect notes that are fake when you have not given them a fake note? You're just giving them the original bills. And the answer was very simple. The answer was, we rather train them to get so acquainted with the original, such that the moment they get in touch with the fake, they'll quickly detect it.
That's a counterfeit.
And this is what we want to do. We need to be conversant with our truth, conversant with our reality, so imbued in being positive and dictating the narrative of how we want our life to, such that if someone wants to introduce a negative conversation, you can quickly realize this is a counterfeit. And once you realize that this is a counterfeit, guess what? You protect yourself. So I want you to build this habit of developing healthy internal conversations. Of course, there are external conversations which are more to do with the type of people that you surround yourself. I'm going to talk about that later on. Why you need to be able to run away from toxic people, because they are actually going to toxify you and they're also going to destroy you. So what are you constantly telling yourself?
It's a very important conversation. The one that you have with yourself will determine the outcome of your future. And sometimes we take it for granted, but then you're already getting into the world with a defeated mindset. From you are your worst enemy, because already you think, I can't do it.
So true.
Yeah.
So remember, these guys are being sent into the promised land to spy on the land, and they come back and they say we were like grasshoppers in their eyes. And I'm like, who said you're a grasshopper? They decided to evaluate themselves and they thought that they're actually grasshoppers. And they entertained a belief that they were actually grasshoppers. And what do? They also inspired fear in other people, because they are amplifying the sides of the other people on the other side, and they are downplaying their own sides. Which is why we need to learn to affirm ourselves consistently. Don't wait for me to come and say you're special. Affirm yourself. Whether you've got money or not, I'm special. Whether your relationship is happening or not, I'm special.
Whether you're single or taken.
Exactly.
Special.
I'm special. I'm going somewhere. I'm going to the top. Affirm yourself. And the best time to actually affirm yourself, Vikendi, is when things are not necessarily moving the way that you want. When things are going south, when things are not really moving the direction that you want them, I want you to learn and to master the art of self-affirmation. Because the conversations that you have with yourself, they in turn build the habits that are either going to build you or destroy you. There's a quote that I usually share on habits. And this is what it says: people don't decide their future. They decide their habits. And their habits decide their future.
That's so
Meaning
powerful.
you need to be deliberate and intentional about the quality of habits that you're developing. What is it that you're developing?
What is it that you're repeatedly doing?
Exactly. That's why even the philosopher says we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit. Meaning the keyword is repeatedly. What are you repeatedly telling yourself? Then make that a habit. Remember the show that we once did last time, which is saying, what are you seeing? Why? Because a number of times, many people, we mistake and think that our life is going to be controlled for someone, which is why I wrote the book, No One Is Coming. You need to be deliberate and intentional about shaping the narrative. And once you're intentional, deliberate, shaping the narrative, guess what? You build your reality. And once you build your reality, guess what? Like the bank tellers, you're able to quickly detect counterfeit conversations. So, avoid negative self-talk. And once you begin to avoid this negative self-talk, it's going to help you. It doesn't matter you didn't receive anything yesterday. You're still special.
Come on.
Yes, you're still special.
Because there are people who actually take it so seriously. And then they start feeling worthless because of a day.
You know, some people actually take BP medication simply because of what someone omitted to do.
Yes.
Don't penalize yourself for the sins of other people. Number 2, what's the next habit that we need to work on? Procrastination.
That's a thing.
Procrastination. You know, a number of people right now, they could actually have been at a different level. They could have finished their first degree. They could have finished their first course, first diploma. They could actually have been having right now their driver's license. They could be having some certificate in whatever area. But guess what? We keep on postponing.
I used to suffer from that until I decided, okay, I'll start by starting. Let me just do.
So,
yeah.
One of the things that we need to encourage people and people need to master, Vikendi, is the time will never be right. The time is now. Once you realize that the time is now, take action, even small action. And one of the things that I want you to notice is many people usually think that we've got time. And I don't know whoever lied to us. You don't have time. That's why if something is on your mind, you want to do something, I want you to develop a habit and a culture, Vikendi, of not putting tomorrow something that you can actually do today. So, why are you not doing what you're supposed to be doing? There's a difference between procrastination and patience. There's a difference between procrastination and patience. Procrastination is something that is within your control. Patience is something that's not necessarily within your control. So if you can do 1, 2, 3, and you're not doing it, that's procrastination. Patience is those scenarios, those instances where it's not necessarily within your control. So what
you have to wait on something.
To wait. That's why patience is also described as a virtue. But I want us to get a point, Vikendi, where we become proactive and realize the one reality, Vikendi, that nothing is going to happen until we happen. And one of the points that I always stress, Vikendi, is you are the person that you've always been waiting for, which is why I wrote the book, No One Is Coming. You are the person who's supposed to make things happen. So deal with procrastination. I've actually done a book on time management. I actually deal with procrastination. Procrastination, what it does is it actually kills opportunities for you.
True.
It destroys you. It destroys life. So people usually talk about time management, but it's not necessarily time management. It's actually life management. The moment you are able to master and understand time, you understand and you manage life.
Because we all have the same 24 hours with, people who are moving and shaking things the same day, 24 hours. And some do amazing things out of the 24 hours. And for some, it's a different story.
You know why? That's why Solomon talks about time and chance happening to them all. Everyone, time and chance happens to them all. Another translation says, if you want to be successful, you need to be in the right place at the right time. And this is why we need to actually help people learn to deal with procrastination. In other words, learn to take action, learn to prioritize. Now, I usually believe that no one is busy. People simply have priorities. No one is busy, if you can. So if someone says, I can't see you today, don't think they're busy. They simply have priorities.
They're actually seeing other people
they're actually seeing
whom they are prioritizing.
Yes, other people that they think are important. So never think people are busy. No. People are never busy for things that they value.
Yes.
People create time for things that they value. So why is it many people procrastinate? It's because of a default and defunct value system. So a story was told about this guy who was trying to help someone deal with procrastination. He says, what if I tell you that if you meet me here, this particular place, at 4 a.m., I'll give you $1,000. He says, I'm actually going to be there by 3 a.m. Then you realize, no, this person does not actually have time management issues. They have got value issues. So for anything that you value, you create time. You've flown several times. If you ever noticed that when you've got a flight and you don't trust yourself to wake up at a particular time, you usually set an alarm, you set a reminder. Why? Because you value it.
Yeah, you don't want to miss the
flight.
You don't want
to miss it. And you also know the cost of missing, because they're going to charge you, because they never planned with you not coming. They were planning with you coming. And your absence is going to actually cause a convenience somewhere, somehow, an imbalance. So we need to be able to deal with this thing called procrastination. So help yourself, work on yourself, and deal with this thing. And the third habit that we need to actually challenge many people to deal with, that is holding many people down, is avoiding challenges. And I think once did a conversation about what we call the path of least resistance. We're going to talk about three things that are making people fail in life. So we're constantly looking for things that are easy. So this is your space. What you're doing right now, Vikendi, this is your space. You're a communicator. You do quite a number of things. But within your space, I want you to be able to set challenges for yourself within that space so that you actually grow within your area of space. So the moment people start talking about experience, there's no longer any growth that's happening. Never tempt yourself and never fool yourself to run into the level of experience. Now, I've been doing this for the past 10 years. The moment someone tells you, I've been doing this for the past 10 years, there's no real meaningful growth that is ever happening. So what you need to do, you need to be able to start looking for challenges in whatever area. So this is what I want to do. Okay, this is 2023. This is the space that I am now. Look at yourself. You have now been recognized by a very big body, women in media. So now that's a challenge. Where you're now saying, okay, I'm broadcasting from Marara, but I want this microphone to be known globally. You're setting yourself challenges. Say, every year I need to be able to feature in about 5 awards, international awards. That's a challenge. Now you're saying, what can I actually do to become that particular type of person who is going to be visible to the global audience? So learn to set challenges for yourself, because it's only through challenges that you grow. If you don't want to look for challenges, if you don't want things that are difficult, and if you're constantly avoiding challenges, you're not going to grow. You're going to stay on the ground, which is why a number of people, they come to an organization, they are at the reception area, they will be at the reception for 10 years, and they call it experience. Doing the same thing over and over again, and you call it experience. So there's a difference between repetition and experience. What many people have is not experience, is simply repetition.
There's a difference.
Experience should also come with growth. Okay, I've been doing this for the past so many years. This is how I've grown. So when you are having the conversations about experience, you should not actually be the one talking about experience. Your actions should be showing experience. The way you handle things, the way you react, the way you respond, the way you plan, the way you execute. That is what is supposed to speak to experience, and not you speaking about the experience that you have. So we need to get this point where we deliberately become intentional about dealing with challenges and embracing and looking for challenges. Constantly be setting targets, Vikendi, that require you to get out of bed early. Constantly be setting targets that require you to start thinking, reorganizing, re-strategizing on how you can actually achieve your goals. But the moment you're doing things that are easy, there is little or no room for growth whatsoever. That's why Michelangelo says, Many people fail in life not because they aim and miss. It's because they aim so low and they hit set higher targets. It's rather better to miss on a higher target because it's the person that you become whilst trying to achieve that higher target. That's very important. Become that person who is constantly looking for challenges. And the next habit that I think is really affecting many people who don't have much time is actually living in the past. Stop living in the past. The past is the past. You can't change it. You've made the mistakes in the past. It's okay. Collect yourself. Learn from them. Some you're not going to correct overnight. Some you're not going to correct in 2 months. But you can't be trapped in the past. A number of people we can do.
Yeah. Someone gave an example of when you get in a bank, those doors, until you close the door behind you, like you won't get that green light to proceed to the door ahead and to get, to get inside. So that I think that's the same thing with life. Until you let go of your past, you cannot embrace the new or what's ahead of you.
We also need the courage to let go of certain doors in order for other doors to open.
Yeah.
Usually it's the impact of the first door that's going to trigger the next door to open. But a number of times, many people are stuck to the door that is closed and forget to look at the door that's opening. Stop living in the past. Deal with your past. Confront your past. Remind yourself you can't change your past. And most importantly, realize that you can't go through this life regretting weekend. At one point in time, you need to collect yourself. And the next thing that's really affecting many people, we overthink. We're overthinkers, overprocess everything. This is the reason why many people go to school, we come up with some very great qualifications, and we're still living broke. Why? Because we're overthinkers. And other people, they don't necessarily overthink. They are opportunity-oriented. They are able to adjust their minds and realize, this is doable. This can actually happen. I'm not going to spend much time on that because of our time. And the last habit, number 6, which is surrounding yourself with toxic people. Learn to let go of toxic people. Sadly, a number of people were in toxic relationships. Some of the people are calling Bay, they are really toxic for you. They're destroying you. You're dating someone that every time when they send you a message, you're usually feeling emotionally drained. You go into associations of people, the moment you come there, you're asking yourself, why am I here? You're in groups of people, groups on WhatsApp where people are the subject of discussion and they're not discussing opportunities. Leave toxic relationships. And I've made this point, if we don't have time. If you can't change the people in your circle, change the people in your circle. In other words, if you can't change them in terms of saying, guys, let's do things differently, replace the people. Introduce new and better people. Those habits weekend will change your life.
6 habits to let go. Thank you so much, Advocate Arthur Marara. Very, very helpful, enlightening as always. How can people get in touch with you?
I'm on WhatsApp, +263 78 00 55 152. Slowly, 078 00 55 152. You can also follow me on all social media platforms. If you want to join our WhatsApp groups, inbox that number, just word join. You can join for free on those contacts that I've given you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. It has been a shot in the arm just what the doctor ordered with Advocate Arthur Marara. I am V Candy. Check your time with mine, Star FM. 10 o'clock, time for the news.
This is Zim Papers Radio Broadcasting News.